Opal Merriweather is 76 years old, and she lives in a small yellow house in Ashtabula, Ohio, with a screened porch her husband built the summer before he passed. On the first day of October last year, Opal opened a plastic drawer in her kitchen and found a card she had forgotten she owned. It had come in the mail with her insurance packet, and she had set it aside because she assumed it was another advertisement. That card had $480 on it, money that belonged to her, money she had already paid for. And on the 30th of September, 3 days before she found it, every dollar of it had quietly expired. Nobody called her. Nobody wrote to warn her. The money simply stopped existing. Opal is not careless. Opal raised 4 children on a bookkeeper's salary and never bounced a check in her life. Opal just did not know, because nobody ever told her that the benefit she was paying for every single month came with a clock on it. And here is why I am telling you this in the last week of August instead of the first week of October. September is the most expensive month of the year for American seniors. Not because prices go up, because deadlines close. 3 of them, all landing inside the next 30 days. And every one is the kind that does not reopen if you miss it. There is no appeal. There is no back pay. The window shuts and you wait a year, and for one of the 3, you may not get another chance at all. Add up what these 3 are worth across the years you have left. And for a lot of people watching this, it runs well past $30,000. For some of you, if the 3rd one catches you wrong, it is far more than that. The first is money you have already paid for that vanishes on September 30th. The second is a raise that arrives in January and the tax trap hiding inside it. And the third, the one I am saving for last, because it is the biggest and almost nobody explains it honestly, is a door that is standing open for some of you right now, and that closes for good the day you stop looking. For each one, I will tell you what it is worth in dollars, who qualifies, and the exact words to say when you pick up the phone. I will also tell you plainly when something does not apply to you, because a video that says everything applies to everybody is a video that is selling you something. My name is Ellis Grant. I am not a lawyer. I do not work for the Social Security Administration or for Medicare, and I do not make one dime whether you act on any of this or not. What I do is read the rules, the actual rules, the ones written in the kind of language designed to make you give up, and then say them out loud in plain English. And before we start, one thing, because I know how this audience thinks. I do not care if you are sure you make too much money. I do not care if you tried something like this years ago and got told no. 2 of the 3 things I am about to describe have no income test whatsoever. None. And the biggest one has nothing to do with income at all. It turns on what month you are in and what your state allows. The most expensive habit in American retirement is deciding you do not qualify before anybody has actually checked. Before the first one, let me answer the question sitting in the back of your mind. If this is real, why has nobody told me? The honest answer is not a conspiracy. Nobody in this system is paid to tell you. Your insurance company is not paid to remind you to spend the money on the card because unspent money stays with them. The Social Security Administration is not staffed to sit down and work out what a cost of living raise does to your tax return. And the private insurance market has no incentive at all to explain which doors close on which dates, because their business depends on you finding out afterward. None of these people are breaking the law. They are simply not required to volunteer anything. The whole system is built on the assumption that you already know, and that assumption is why billions of dollars a year in senior benefits go unclaimed in this country. So when you find out you have been leaving money on the table, do not be embarrassed. Be annoyed, and then go get it. The first deadline is the simplest, and the one you can act on this afternoon. If you are on a Medicare Advantage plan, that is Part C, the kind run by a private insurance company, the kind with the plan's name on the card, instead of the red, white and blue Medicare card, there is a very good chance your plan includes what is called an over-the-counter benefit, an OTC allowance. Here is what it is, in one sentence. Your plan puts a fixed amount of money on a card for you every 3 months, and you spend it on ordinary health items, vitamins, aspirin, cold medicine, bandages, toothpaste, denture cream, reading glasses, incontinence supplies, a blood pressure cuff, a heating pad. Now the number. Plans vary, but a common allowance runs between $50 and $200 a quarter. That is $200 to $800 a year, and on some plans considerably more. Industry surveys of Medicare Advantage members have put the average amount left unspent at north of $500 a year, and here is the part that costs people money. On the overwhelming majority of plans, that allowance does not roll over. It is quarterly. The third quarter is July, August, and September. Whatever is sitting on that card at midnight on September 30th is gone, not carried forward, not credited back, not refunded, gone, and back into the insurance company's pocket. Who qualifies? Anyone enrolled in a Medicare Advantage plan that includes the benefit. There is no income test, there is no application, it is not welfare, and it is not charity. It is a benefit you are paying for inside your premium, whether you use it or not. Now let me smash the excuses, because I have heard all of them. I don't have one of those cards. A great many people do have one and never activated it because it arrived in the fat envelope with the welcome packet and went out with the junk mail. The card, being in a landfill, does not mean the money is gone. Call and they will send another. I don't need vitamins. Then buy what you buy anyway. Toothpaste, aspirin, first aid supplies, a thermometer. This is not extra shopping. It is groceries you were going to pay cash for. And the one I hear most. It's only $100. Friend, $100 a quarter that you never spend is $400 a year. And over the next 15 years, that is $6,000 of your own money handed back to a company that already has your premium. Now, one honest limit. If you are on Original Medicare, the red, white and blue card, with or without a supplement, you do not have one of these. This benefit belongs to Medicare Advantage plans only, and I am not going to pretend otherwise to keep you watching. But stay with me, because deadline number 3 is aimed directly at you. And it matters more than this one. Here is Garland Pickett, 73, in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, a retired high school shop teacher. He watched a video like this one in the middle of September and called his plan on a Tuesday morning, mostly to prove to his daughter it was nonsense. He had $210 sitting on a card in the drawer with the takeout menus. He spent it that week on blood pressure supplies, 3 months of the vitamins his doctor had recommended, and enough toothpaste and first aid supplies to fill a shelf. $210 that would have evaporated 11 days later. And on that same call, they told him something else. His plan carried a separate grocery allowance for members with certain chronic conditions. His was diabetes, and he had never used 1 cent of that either. So, here is exactly what you do. Turn your insurance card over. Call the member services number on the back, not the sales line, not the number from the television commercial, the number on the back of your own card, and say these words: I would like to know my current over-the-counter balance for this quarter, the exact date it expires, and where I am allowed to spend it. Then ask the second question, the one that found Garland the grocery money. Does my plan include any other allowance I might not be using? A grocery or healthy food benefit, a dental allowance, a vision allowance, or a transportation benefit? Write down the answers. Write down the date. And spend it before the 30th. Now I have to stop and warn you, because the next 6 weeks are the busiest season of the year for people who steal from seniors. Starting about now and running through early December, your phone is going to ring more than usual. The caller will be friendly. They will know your name. Some will know which plan you are on, because that information is bought and sold. And they will tell you your plan is changing, or your benefits are being cancelled, or that they can get you a better card with more money on it. Here is the rule, and it has no exceptions. Medicare will never call you out of the blue. Not to sell you a plan, not to verify your number, not to offer you a new card. If someone calls and asks for your Medicare number, your Social Security number, or your bank information, you are talking to a thief. It does not matter how kind they sound. It does not matter that they knew your name. You hang up. You do not argue. You do not explain. You do not be polite. You hang up. Then, if you want to check whether anything they said was true, you call the number on the back of your own card or 1-800-MEDICARE. That is 1-800-633-4227. And one more, because it works on good people. Nobody legitimate ever needs you to decide today. The second deadline is different because it is not something you apply for. It is something being decided about you right now, this month, whether you are paying attention or not. September is the third and final month the government measures to decide how big your Social Security raise will be next January. The cost of living adjustment, the COLA, is not a decision somebody makes in a meeting. It is a calculation, and it uses inflation data from exactly 3 months: July, August, and September. July and August are collected and locked. September is the last one. The final number is published in the middle of October, and the Social Security Administration announces the official raise within days of that. The number. Independent analysts tracking the data currently have next year's raise landing somewhere around 3.5%. On an average benefit of about $2,070 a month, that is roughly $70 more per month starting in January. Call it $840 over the year. That is good news, and I want you to have it. But now the part nobody puts in the headline, and the reason this belongs in a video about deadlines. For a certain group of people, that raise is what makes their Social Security taxable for the very first time. Here is how it works. Whether your Social Security gets taxed depends on a number called your provisional income. You take all of your other income, a pension, IRA, or 401k withdrawals, interest from a certificate of deposit, dividends, wages from a part-time job, rent, and then you add 1/2 of your annual Social Security benefit on top. If that total comes to more than $25,000 for a single person, or $32,000 for a married couple filing together, part of your Social Security becomes taxable. Go higher. 34,000 single, 44,000 married, and a bigger share of it becomes taxable. Here is the part that should make you angry. Those dollar amounts were written into law in the early 1980s and the higher ones in the early 90s, and they were never, not once, not in 40 years, adjusted for inflation. A gallon of milk has more than tripled since those numbers were set. The thresholds have not moved a penny. So every year the COLA raises your benefit, and the line you have to stay under sits exactly where it was in 1984. Which means a group of people who were under it last year quietly cross it this year, having done nothing at all except accept the raise the government gave them. Who this hits? Not everyone. If Social Security is genuinely your only income, you are almost certainly nowhere near these numbers, and this does not touch you. This is aimed at the person with a modest pension, or a small IRA they take a little from, or a certificate of deposit that has been paying real interest for the first time in 20 years, or a spouse who still works 2 days a week. And here, the anti-exclusion cuts the other way from usual. Most people watching this assume it does not apply to them, and a good number are wrong. Because savings interest counts, and many of you have earned more interest in the past 2 years than in the previous 15 combined. Now, Lucille Hargrove, 79, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Lucille draws Social Security and a small pension from the school district where she worked in the cafeteria for 22 years. 2 years ago, her provisional income sat about $900 below the line, and she had never in her life paid $1 of tax on her Social Security. Then came a COLA. Then came another one. And in April, Lucille, who had not changed one single thing about her life, opened a letter and found she owed the IRS money, plus a penalty for not having paid it during the year. Nobody warned her. Nobody was required to. So here is what you do, and this is where September and October matter. First, if you might be within a couple of $1,000s of those lines, run your numbers in October, as soon as the official COLA is announced. Not in April, in October, while you can still do something. Second, the form. It is called a W-4V, a voluntary withholding request, and it is 1 page. It tells Social Security to hold back federal tax from your monthly check at 7, 10, 12, or 22%, so that instead of one ugly surprise in April, it comes out a little at a time and there is no penalty. You can get it at ssa.gov or ask for it at your local office. Third, and this is the one that actually lowers the number instead of just spreading out the pain. If you are 70 and a half or older with money in a traditional IRA, look up something called a qualified charitable distribution. If you give to your church or to a charity anyway, this lets the money go straight from the IRA to them without ever landing on your tax return as income. A withdrawal you take and then donate still raises your provisional income. A qualified charitable distribution does not. Same charity, same dollars, completely different result. And fourth, one honest correction, because I have heard this stated wrongly in 3 different places. You may have heard that the new $6,000 senior deduction, the one for people 65 and over, running through 2028, will pull you back under the Social Security tax threshold. It will not. It is a real deduction. It will lower your tax bill, and I am glad it exists. But it is applied after the income is counted, so it does not reduce the provisional income number that decides whether your benefits get taxed. Those are 2 different calculations. Anyone telling you otherwise has not read it. When you call Social Security about the withholding form, the number is 1-800-772-1213, and the words are, "I want to request voluntary federal tax withholding from my benefit. Please send me a form W-4V and tell me the date the change would take effect." Now the third one. This is the one I told you I was saving, It is the biggest, and I want you to put down whatever is in your hands. Every year, from October 15th to December 7th, there is Medicare open enrollment. You have heard the commercials, and you will hear 100 more before Thanksgiving. They all tell you the same cheerful thing. This is your chance to change plans. Here is what they do not tell you, and it is the most important sentence in this video. You are always allowed to leave a Medicare Advantage plan and go back to original Medicare. Always. That part is easy. What you are not always allowed to do is buy the supplement policy that makes original Medicare affordable. Let me slow down, because everything depends on this. Original Medicare pays roughly 80% of what it covers, and there is no cap on your share. None. If you have a catastrophic year, your 20% has no ceiling. That is why people buy a Medicare supplement policy, what everybody calls a Medigap. It fills that hole. With a good one, a bad year costs you a few $100s instead of an amount that could take the house. And here is the trap. Medigap policies are sold by private insurance companies, and outside of certain protected windows, those companies are allowed to ask you medical questions. They can ask about your heart, your diabetes, your cancer history, your back, and based on your answers, in most states, they are allowed to charge you far more, or simply tell you no. Your one guaranteed federal window is 6 months long, and it opens the month you are 65 and enrolled in Part B. During those 6 months, no company can turn you down or charge you extra for your health history. For most of you watching this, that window closed years ago. But there are other doors, and this is the part almost nobody explains. The first is called a trial right. If you joined a Medicare Advantage plan when you first became eligible for Medicare at 65, you have 12 months to change your mind. 12 months to go back to original Medicare and buy a Medigap policy with your health history off the table. And there is a second version. If you had a Medigap policy and dropped it to try Medicare Advantage for the first time, you have 12 months to go back to that policy, or one like it, on the same protected terms. 12 months. Then it is gone. The second set of doors are what the law calls guaranteed issue rights. If your Medicare Advantage plan leaves your county or stops serving Medicare, if you move out of your plan's service area, or if the plan broke its own rules or misled you, you get a protected window to buy a supplement with no medical questions. Plans drop counties every year, and they announce it in the letter arriving in your mailbox this month. And the third one, please listen to this if you take nothing else from this video, is your state. Federal law is the floor, not the ceiling, and a number of states have written far better rules. New York and Connecticut do not allow medical underwriting on Medigap at all. You can buy in any month of any year. Massachusetts and Maine run annual guaranteed windows, and a growing group, California, Oregon, Idaho, Illinois, Nevada, Louisiana, Maryland, Washington, and others, have what is called a birthday rule, a window around your own birthday each year to switch supplement plans without answering a single health question. That list has been getting longer, not shorter, which is exactly why you must not assume. The rule that applies to you is the one in your state this year, not the one your brother-in-law heard about in another state 4 years ago. Now the anti-exclusion, and this one costs people the most. You are going to be tempted to think, I am healthy, I do not need to look at this. That is precisely backwards. The window is only worth something while you are healthy, because the moment your health changes is the moment underwriting starts working against you. The door is open widest for exactly the people who feel the least need to walk through it. And every year you wait is another year of health history you have to disclose. Here is Vernon Tilley, 71, Prescott, Arizona. Vernon retired at 65 and took a Medicare Advantage plan with a $0 premium, and for 6 years it worked beautifully, because Vernon was never sick. In his 7th year, he was diagnosed with something serious. He called about switching to original Medicare with a supplement, the way his sister had. And he was told what a lot of people are told. He could leave his plan any time he wanted. But the supplement companies in his state were free to ask about the diagnosis, and they did. Vernon's window had closed in his 66th year. Nobody had ever mentioned it existed. I am not here to tell you to leave Medicare Advantage. For a great many people, it is a good fit, and the extra benefits are real. What I am telling you is that you should know before the 15th of October whether your door is open or closed. Because deciding without knowing is not a decision. It is a guess about the most expensive thing you own. So here is how to find out. And it costs nothing. Every state has a program called SHIP, the State Health Insurance Assistance Program. Free counselors trained on Medicare who do not sell insurance and do not earn a commission on anything you do. Not a call center. Not the number on the television advertisement. Call 1-800-MEDICARE, that is 1-800-633-4227, and ask them to connect you with the SHIP office for your state. And when you get a counselor on the phone, these are the words: I want to know whether I currently have a trial right or any guaranteed issue right to buy a Medigap policy, and I want to know what my own state's rules are on medical underwriting. Write down what they tell you. If your door is open, you have until December 7th to act, and you should not spend that time thinking about it. If it closed, at least you know what you are working with, and you will make this year's plan choice with your eyes open instead of on a commercial. Do it in September, call in October, and you are behind 50 million other people trying to reach the same counselors. Why does all of this land harder this year than last? 3 reasons, and they stack. The first is that plan benefits have been getting thinner. Insurance companies have been trimming the extras: smaller allowances, tighter drug lists, narrower doctor networks, and every one of those changes is written in a letter that arrives this month and gets thrown away unread. It is called an annual notice of change. It is required by law to reach you by the end of September, and it is the only document that tells you what your plan is doing to you in January. Read it. If you read nothing else this month, read that. The second is that after several years of inflation, more people are sitting right on top of those frozen tax thresholds than at any time in living memory. The lines have not moved since 1984. Everything else has. And the third is that the number of states protecting Medigap buyers has been growing, which means the answer you got 3 years ago about your own state may be out of date in your favor. That is a rare thing in this business, and it is worth one phone call to check. So let us add it up honestly. The card money is a few $100s a year, call it $400, which for most of you is low. Over 15 years, $6,000. Getting ahead of the tax trap is worth several hundred to well over $1,000 a year for the people it hits, plus the penalty you do not pay. Over 15 years, easily 15,000. And the third does not have a neat annual number, because it is insurance against catastrophe. But the difference between a capped supplement and an uncapped 20% across one serious illness is routinely tens of thousands of dollars. 3 phone calls. That is what stands between you and all of it. 1 to the number on the back of your card, 1 to Social Security, 1 to a SHIP counselor. None of them cost anything, and every one can be made from the kitchen table in an afternoon. I want to finish where I started, with Opal in Ashtabula. She lost that $480. There was nothing to be done. No appeal, no back pay, no sympathetic supervisor. That money went back to an insurance company that had already collected her premium every month for years. But Opal did something with it. She wrote it on her kitchen calendar. The last week of March, the last week of June, the last week of September, the last week of December. 4 little notes, 1 word each. Card. She has not lost $1 since. And last September, when she made the call, the woman on the phone mentioned a dental allowance Opal had not known was there, which is how a 76-year-old widow in Ohio ended up several $100s a year better off because she got angry one October morning instead of embarrassed. That is the whole thing. Not clever, not complicated. She found out, and then she wrote it down. So, September, in one place. Number 1. If you are on a Medicare Advantage plan, the money on your over-the-counter card expires September 30th and does not roll over. Call the number on the back of your card, ask what your balance is and what else you are not using, and spend it before the month ends. Number 2. September is the last month the government measures for next January's raise. If your other income puts you anywhere near 25,000 single or 32,000 married, run your numbers in October when the official number lands, and ask Social Security for a Form W4V so April is not a nasty surprise. Number 3. Before October 15th, find out from a free ship counselor whether you still have a trial right or a guaranteed issue right to buy a Medicare supplement, and what your own state's rules are. That door is open for some of you right now, and it does not stay open forever. And read the annual notice of change letter when it comes. It is the ugliest envelope of the year, and the most valuable one. Now the disclaimer, and I mean it. I am not a lawyer, I am not a tax preparer, and I am not an insurance agent. Nothing here is personal advice about your situation, and I do not know your numbers. What I have given you is where to look and what to say. The decisions are yours, and for the tax question in particular, a qualified preparer who sees your actual return is worth what they charge. If this was useful, do one thing for me. Send it to somebody you love who is over 65. Not because I need the view, because there is a person in your life sitting on a card in a kitchen drawer with money on it, and they will never find out on their own. Nobody is going to call them. That part is up to you. I am Ellis Grant. Go make the calls.